Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Max Velocity weather forecast. And in today's forecast, we'll be breaking down a huge storm that's going to be impacting the United States over the next several days. And this is going to bring a load of problems, including heavy rainfall that'll lead to flash flooding, a few tornadoes, very high winds across much of the East Coast, and as well as the potential for some snow. I'll be giving you the latest breakdown on everything that you need to know in this forecast. And let's begin with what's happening right now across the United States with this storm that's developing as we speak. And right now this storm is actually growing in size, and there's a lot of components to this. To begin with, we currently have a low pressure system that is centered back down here in the central plains, and that overall has a lot of moisture with it. We've been seeing some rainfall over the past 24 to 48 hours across the central and southern plains. On the flip side of things, we have a lot more moisture down in the Gulf of Mexico. To go along with that, we also have some high wind speeds, and both of these systems are going to collide with each other a couple of different times. The first time will be with this set of moisture back down in the southern plains. It's likely to go ahead and collide into the Gulf of Mexico with this other batch of moisture, and this will lead to the potential for a tropical storm-like system. It will not be a tropical storm, but what it will do is bring a lot of similar impacts, including high winds, a few tornadoes, high waves, and as well as heavy rainfall across the southeast and even upwards of the East Coast. And this could also turn into a nor'easter, because the second component to this is when this area of moisture back up in the northern plains and the Midwest moves to the east slowly but surely, and this system races off to the east and northeast. This could all collide into one system and turn into a very large storm in the northeast as we head into the later half of this weekend. There are going to be a lot of things to break down in this weather forecast, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel and we will keep you posted with the latest and all these details. And let's get more into the specifics of what's upcoming here over the next few days. And to begin, we're going to look at the jet stream, and the jet stream gives us an idea of the weather patterns that are happening across the United States. And right now it's a very interesting setup. We have a low pressure system in the upper levels that's centered right now again in the central plains, another little disturbance that's back up even closer to North Dakota, so two different low pressure systems. And then we also have a ton of moisture back down near the subtropical jet stream back down in the Gulf of Mexico. Notice your polar jet stream is well back up here to the north, which again, that is something that's very typical with an El Nino winter, which we're not in winter yet, but this is a typical setup for El Nino. Now as we go over the next few days, we're going to be watching a lot of different components. So this low pressure system will move to the east as we go into the weekend, and this will likely collide with the other low pressure system that's going to be back down in the Gulf of Mexico. So a huge area of energy right here over the Midwest. Here's your low pressure system racing off to the north and east. These two areas, if they both collide with each other as we go into late Sunday into Monday, this will allow for a much larger storm to develop, bringing a lot more rainfall and high winds to areas in the northeast United States. So that will be the time frame to watch for in the northeast. Would be both Sunday, Monday, and perhaps even into Tuesday. Once we go into Wednesday and Thursday of next week, that's when things actually change a little bit. We're going to go into a different weather pattern entirely. So once those storms move out of the United States, we'll be looking at a high pressure system to dominate much of the country as we get closer to the 20th, which is only 5 days away from Christmas, and this is almost the first day of winter by this point, and this will be the weather pattern that we're going to have just before Christmas. But what we'll have to watch for once we get closer to Christmas is a much more active weather pattern with the potential for a stronger storm to come out in the Pacific Ocean. Once this moves inland, this could bring some more impacts to the United States right as we get closer to Christmas Day. So that'll be something to watch for. Obviously, we're still multiple days out, so things will change, and it's not really certain on what will exactly happen with that. So we will keep you posted with the latest on that storm as it evolves over the next several days. Now, this is the 500 millibar chart, so we're going a little bit lower into the atmosphere. And notice this is the low pressure system that we're talking about. It's actually a closed low, and that's what's going to allow for this low pressure system to be slower as it moves toward the northeast. Meanwhile, this area of moisture and the low pressure system that develops out of that will be much faster since it won't be a closed low. Closed lows typically travel a lot slower in nature, so that's what we're going to be looking at. You can see that a lot better as we go on a Saturday afternoon and evening. So very interesting little weather setup here, just kind of the scientific approach to that. And here's the relative vorticity advection, and we look at this pretty often just to kind of give us an idea of what we're basically dealing with different energy masses across the United States. And notice right now, this is going into tomorrow morning. There's going to be a lot of energy across much of the Midwest, and all this relative vorticity as it moves to the east is likely to combine with this other area of relative vorticity. And again, once these two areas collide, it just makes a huge energy field basically of showers and storms, and even the potential again for snow in the northeast. So you can see that in real time as these two areas go up to the north and east, they basically will merge as we go into Sunday into Monday. So this will be a very interesting setup to watch it unfold, and obviously there's gonna be a lot of impacts to go along with this, which we're gonna break down right now for you. So let's go go into the future radar, give you an idea of what's happening day by day here, really hour by hour with these two disturbances. So again, notice all the rainfall right now across the central plains and back through the Midwest. We even have a little wintry mix happening in Minnesota and back into the upper Michigan Peninsula. Back over in the central and southern plains, back through the Gulf of Mexico, this is where all the moisture lies. Again, don't get too mixed up with the two different systems, because these are, again, two different systems. This entire area here is its own system, and then we have another area down here that's its own system as well. So again, they're split up right now, but they will merge a little bit as we go into Saturday morning. We're gonna have two different areas of moisture merge going to Saturday morning across the Gulf of Mexico. And again, notice that low pressure system moving across the Ohio Valley. Once we go into Saturday evening, this low pressure system will strengthen quite a bit near Florida. This is going to cause a lot of rainfall going into Saturday evening and Sunday morning. In addition to that, we're going to have a strong low pressure system, which will lead to higher wind speeds. Now, obviously, this looks like a tropical cyclone. A lot of you have been thinking, yes, we have our next tropical storm coming. Well, one, we're not in hurricane season, which we can see tropical storms outside of hurricane season, but it's pretty rare. Secondly, the water temperatures are not cold and are warm enough, so we will not be able to see this actually be a tropical storm. Once we go through Sunday, this moves off to the north and east. It really races off to the north and east more than anything. And once we go to Monday, again, all that energy starts to basically come together in the northeast, and this will likely be the strongest storm that we've seen all December long by far, just through the impact of how large it is. I mean, again, it's really wide, and it's obviously very tall as well, going north to south and east to west. So again, there's gonna be a lot of impacts out of this. Very high wind speeds as well across much of the Ohio Valley and as well as the northeast. We will see some snow out of this, but I think most of the snow will stay in the Ohio Valley and then back into Canada. I don't think the northeast is going to see much, even though this will likely be a nor'easter. That does not always mean a ton of snow. And then once we go into Wednesday and Thursday, things dry out overall for much of the United States as we get closer to Christmas. In terms of rainfall totals across the United States, it's going to be up there, especially along the East Coast. Anywhere in the red represents a high likelihood of seeing between 2 to 4 inches of rain. Isolated locations, especially in the southeast, we'll see upwards of 8 inches of rain. Just crazy stuff. And again, look how large this area is here along the East Coast and even out into the Atlantic Ocean. And again, this could be a huge storm, one of the largest storms that I think we've seen all year long as well. Now let's talk a bit more about the severe weather potential for suspicious storms Saturday. Right now, we do have a slight risk of severe weather in parts of Florida. Additionally, a marginal threat outside of that. Overall, the main concern for tomorrow is damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour, and a few tornadoes will also be possible across Florida. Now here's the timing. So tomorrow morning, a good amount of rain will be ongoing across parts of central and southern Florida. Ramps up a lot more during the afternoon hours. Notice the system starts to move inland as we get closer to the evening hours. We'll be watching for some of this storm activity to produce a tornado threat during the evening, and then once we get closer to about 10 to 11 o'clock, more storms moving inland, and eventually overnight those storms are all for the most part near West Palm Beach in Miami and moving off the coastline. And then once we go into Sunday morning, most of the state will start to dry out. So that's what we're looking at in terms of the tornado threat. We might go live for that. We'll see. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon so you're notified if we do go live. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit the like button down below and subscribe if you've not already.